Well, good evening, everyone. We are coming to you live from the Glenelg River. So welcome to the Glenelg Hopkins CMA's evening on the estuary. We are out on the estuary of the Glenelg River. I have in a canoe here our estuary officer, Jarred, and tonight we're going to take you for a little paddle around the estuary. So we'd like to welcome everyone here. A little bit of housekeeping is that there will be some spammy posts that turn up on the bottom of our live stream. Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do about the spamming that's coming through. That's something that's a bit of a Facebook issue. We would just ask everyone to ignore the spamming things. Don't click on any links to the Nature Festival that pop up in the comments as part of our broadcast tonight. They are spamming links. So we will get our little tour underway. This is all part of the Victoria Nature Festival, and there's a link in the event page of this live stream video that you can click to go to the Together Victoria website and find out about the Nature Festival. So we will get our paddling underway. So for everyone tonight, we are coming from the Glenelg Estuary. We are on Gundi Jamara country, and we would welcome any traditional owners, past, present and emerging, who are joining us tonight. The Glenelg River is known as Bakara to the Gundi Jamara people. We are going to be paddling around this evening. It is a little bit sunny still. Jarred has pointed me straight into the sun. We did have a bit of time beforehand dealing about this, but what we will do, Jarred's going to do some paddling and tell everyone about it while I do some filming. It is the most glorious evening out here tonight. We are thrilled with whoever it is that has sent us this evening tonight. It is perfect for a paddle on the estuary. So I will mask up, Jarred will unmask so that we can hear him speaking, and enjoy our paddle on the estuary. So Jarred, tell us a little bit where we are tonight. This is an amazing space to be in.
Yeah, it is, Liz. Look, firstly, thank you for the chance to come out here tonight, and for everyone listening in, I hope you really enjoy it. We are located on the Glenelg River estuary, so the very far southwest of our state, right on the Victorian South Oz border. The Glenelg River itself starts in the Grampians and follows basically westward and then down to a southerly direction where it hits the coast almost on the South Oz border at the little township called Nelson. So it's a fantastic area. As you said, we could not have got a better evening for it. The weather, the bird life, the wind, the tide, everything's in our favour at the moment, so hopefully this should be fantastic. But I guess for those that don't know the Glenelg River estuary, for us, the Glenelg Hopkins CMA, it's the largest river in our region. It's 500 kilometres long, and the estuary itself is 75 kilometres long, so the estuary is actually the longest estuary in the state. It basically goes from Dartmoor down to the coast at Nelson. It has a range of, different accreditations and values, and I guess some of those in particular, it is regarded as one of the 15 biodiversity hotspots in Australia, so nationally very, very significant. I guess the biodiversity hotspot, that sort of represents an example of, what used to be here, or some of the best examples of what used to be here pre-European settlement. So almost intact ecosystems. So whether it be bird, fish, vegetation, it does represent a really unique part of what still remains. It's listed as a heritage river in Victoria, which is a very important listing too, and that covers a range of different components, including environmental values, but also the socio-economic values. So things like fishing and recreation and boating and like canoeing, like we're here today. So it has a lot of different values. Culturally, it's extremely important too. The entire length of the Glenelg River has tremendous cultural values from the whole length, from the Grampians all the way to the coast. And yeah, look, I think it's a really important acknowledgement just to how well this system's been managed for you know, tens of thousands of years. It's yeah, we're very, very lucky to have what we have here today. So,
and we are looking, Jarred, around here and just showing just how diverse it is. We have some fishermen over here who are quite happily catching some things. We've got our native fishermen over here with our pelicans. The bird life here is amazing.
Yeah, it is, Liz. And I guess one of the key attractions for the bird life particularly is that the wetland values. So the Glenelg River estuary has an amazing connection to surrounding wetlands. They're all interconnected, they're very complex, and they have both national and international listings. So locally or from an Australian perspective, they're regarded as, or they're on the Directory of Important Wetlands of Australia. And then in recent years, the system here, the Glenelg River estuary combined with the Discovery Bay Coastal Park, which is basically the coastal dune system before the coastline, it received Ramsar nomination, which is basically global recognition of the wetland values, and that is a key listing that really helps us, the Glenelg Hopkins CMA, manage all of the different values, basically now and into the future.
So, an estuary, Jarred, we're on a river, but it's also called an estuary. What's the difference between a river and an estuary?
Yeah, no, look, it's a good question, Liz, and that's sort of where my main role sits. My role is a senior estuary officer, and there are different classifications and terms, but in general, an estuary is where the fresh water from our catchment meets the ocean, the Southern Ocean, the mixing the salt water from the ocean. So
and that is what we're looking at.
Yes, I'll say right over in the foreground there, that is the Southern Ocean. Look, and our estuaries are extremely unique. So the Glenelg River estuary, it is classified as an intermittently closed estuary, and what we see around here,
So people may be able to see there's a sandbar in front of it. Is the river open or closed at the minute?
It is open, yeah. So seasonally it does vary, but that's critically important. So there's no preferred state in terms of whether the mouth is open or closed, and all the different states all bring a value of their own. So the different water levels are critical for the wetland health. They create immense and complex different zonings of vegetation, basically from what's known as coastal salt marsh, which is nationally threatened and listed vegetation species. As you move higher up, you go into some amazing sort of sedge wetland complexes, and then into sort of more of your terrestrial type vegetation, more of your scrubs, such as your coastal dune scrubs and moonar sort of vegetation complexes. So it's really important to note, yes, that these estuaries do close naturally. They always have closed naturally. They're a natural feature of our coastline. They have national listing under the EPBC Act for closing and being that sort of intermittent salt wedge type sort of system. And the Glenelg estuary is only one of 25 estuaries in the state
Jarred,
that has this listing.
I
just found some sand.
And this is the wonders of live television. We've hit the sandbar.
That's all right. You go for a swim. There's a collide.
It is an amazing night to be on the water. I'm not entirely sure we want to walk out onto the sandbar. Jarred is doing all of the pushing. So it feels like we're getting stucker.
No, we'll be right.
Jarred, we've just had someone ask, and anyone who is watching tonight, you can ask Jarred questions and they will pop up on the comments that we can see. Where does the river start? It starts up in the Grampians?
It does, yes. It starts sort of in the western Grampians. It flows in a westward direction sort of through what's known as the Cherry Pool, Western Grampians area into Rocklands Reservoir. From there, it flows through the townships of Balmoral, Harrow, and then sort of heads south to basically Cassidy's, the next big settlement, through to Dartmoor, and then comes out at Nelson at the sea. Now I'm going to take a punt here, Liz. I think there's a pretty cool little channel to our left, which if it works, will go right in between an amazing array of bird life. So
we are looking at some amazing bird life taking off just there. Some swans, some seagulls.
It's important to note too what this system provides, both environmentally, recreationally, and culturally, is it's really a great example of everything working together. So, there's over 50 native species of fish recorded in this system. There's over 90 species of birds, and as mentioned earlier, so there's an array of really important and listed and threatened vegetation communities. And in terms of, I guess, the fishing too, look, I know my background here first started years ago because of fishing. It's an amazing fishery. It's known statewide and potentially probably nationally as one of the best mulloway fishing areas, in the region, possibly the state. Well, this is an echidna crawling out of the water.
There is an echidna coming out of the water. Now,
that's not something you see every day.
We are just using a phone that I will hopefully not drop into the water while I hang it over a bit further of the boat. But there is an echidna coming out of the Glenelg River. Where on earth has he come from, Jarred?
It's a good question. It's the first time I've ever seen an echidna coming out of an estuary. I've worked here for 16 years and I haven't seen that before.
He looks like he's got a bit of weed on him.
Yeah, I imagine he might have come down for a drink potentially and then realised he was possibly in the wrong spot. Like, the terrestrial vegetation behind us here is full of all different species, particularly, there's a lot of echidnas in there, but I've never seen one this far down. There you go.
He's had a bit of a paddle. He's a bit tired. He's out of the water now.
Yeah, I think we'll leave him here for now. We'll come back once we finish our filming just to make sure he's okay and potentially relocate him if it's the right thing to do. I think. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
That is amazing. So while we have also got stuck on a sandbar, we've also seen an echidna live streaming. Is amazing.
But it's getting back to what I was saying, that the fishing here is fantastic, and it's closely linked to a lot of really important European heritage as well. If anyone's been on the Glenelg River estuary, it's an amazing system. It's roughly about 85% of the estuary is actually surrounded by the Lower Glenelg National Park. So for that reason, it's a fantastic area to get out to see. You can camp, you can boat, you can canoe. The wildlife is amazing and the fishing is fantastic, whether it be mulloway, one of the best black bream fisheries in the region. In recent years, the estuary perch have been phenomenal, but as I said, there's over 50 species of native fish, so a real strong hold for a lot of our small-bodied native species as well, which is really important in the way we manage our estuaries and waterways in general, because if you don't have the smaller body fish, you don't have the larger body fish, so it all goes very much hand in hand together.
So we are basically paddling out of the mouth of the river now. Is that what we're doing? You're not going to send me into the waves?
Almost, no. I am being pretty cautious of where we go here, but no, we're still pretty safe, Liz. That's okay.
It is an extraordinary night to be out here.
But I think, it's really, I guess, important while we're out here. It's probably the best time to really showcase it. Estuaries are extremely dynamic, extremely complex, and the closing and opening cycle for some people is a little bit unknown, and that's fine. It's not everyone is exposed to it, but it's so important, these changing water levels. I guess a lot of people might understand a river comes up and down with rain and floods. An estuary basically has a few more dimensions. It goes up and down, but also in and out. And that in and out movement of water with the fluctuating seasonal water levels is just so important for the integrity of the vegetation. And that varies from in-stream vegetation, such as your seagrass beds, which is amazing juvenile fish spawning grounds. But then in terms of when you move up into your salt marsh and your sedge and rush communities, what that provides for biodiversity, for water quality, and just overall ecosystem functioning is absolutely critical. But without that fluctuating water levels, you just don't get that level of complexity. And look, in our area, this is the best example of what we've got, and it's as I said, it's an amazing system. It has a lot of different accreditations for really good reasons. And yeah, it's
And we should remind everyone, this is somewhere under the current restrictions that regional Victorians can get to. But this is very much a space that is environmentally important, but that everyone can enjoy quite easily.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned before too. Is the national park. You know, jump online and check out the Logwang National Park. It's a real secret. It's got so many amazing campsites with direct waterfront camping. A lot of them have their own little landings, so whether it's for fishing or swimming or just general aesthetics or bird watching, it's an amazing example of just some of these amazing biodiversity hotspots that we still have in our region. So
now we have had a question about migratory birds come through.
Yes, yeah. Look, it's birds aren't my strongest point, to be honest. I'll happily say that. I'm not going to pretend I know everything about birds. I'm an aquatic ecologist by trade, but yes, this area here is very much known for its migratory birds. It's part of the, I'll probably get this wrong, but it's international bird pathway. It's the Asian Indian Ocean style pathway. I don't know the terminology. Somebody will. Gavin, if you're out there, you'll correct me, no doubt. But it is recognised for international migratory shorebird movements.
And these birds we can see in front of us obviously are not migratory birds. They are some black swans. But we've seen there's a huge diversity in the river of bird life and aquatic life. It's extraordinary.
I know, in terms of, I guess, one key species, and it's a species that we're doing quite a lot of work on at the moment, is the Australasian bittern. This is a stronghold for the Australasian bittern, and without giving away too many secrets, that area, if you look mid-screen there, I have seen 3 bitterns there in probably the last 3 or 4 years, so it's not only a known site, it's something I can vouch for personally with field experience. So
that's amazing what is down here.
So the mouth is literally just over that next dune, Liz. So I think we'll mosey a bit further down, but I probably shouldn't go much further.
If we kept paddling out that passage there, we would literally meet the Southern Ocean. That's how close we are. The river literally meets the sea here.
It's interesting too, Liz. We had a fantastic winter rainfall season down here. It's some of the best rain I've seen in many years over June and July. And that's a key factor of how these estuaries work. Often, we get good flows during the winter, which we've had this year. Creates a lot of flow, a lot of scour, a lot of complex in terms of the different berms and the different depth profiles and the bathymetry of the estuary through here, which is fantastic for a range of different fish species. And then as the catchment dries up over the late spring, summer, often these estuaries can close, and then with the incoming autumn break, often you get rising water levels and then back into the winter flow season again. So it's a really good time of year. It's not just a good night, it is a really good time of year to paddle, because this flow is doing a lot of it for us, which makes it a lot easier to talk. So
I'm a little bit concerned about paddling back against the tide.
Oh, that's okay.
The tide can be fairly strong here. Like, there have been circumstances where people have tried to open the estuary and the ocean just says no. It just closes it back up again.
Yeah, that's correct, Liz. Yeah, look, these estuaries really highlight the power of Mother Nature. They do close, as mentioned. They do open naturally, as mentioned. And in the majority of cases, that's basically how it should be, and that's how we like to manage it. And yeah, to be honest, it's actually really hard to open the estuary if environmental conditions aren't correct. And from a safety perspective, it's not something we do. If it's unsafe, we definitely don't open estuaries. But yeah, obviously with changing water levels, there are other inundation concerns. That's something we need to manage as waterway managers, and we try and get that balance of environmental, cultural, recreational, economic values all working together. So.
And nature taking its course is always a better solution because it opens and it closes it quite quickly, really. One big rainfall and it can open itself quite quickly, and one big swell can close it
just as quick.
Just as quickly.
Yep. It's for a long time in European history we've tried to work against nature, but yeah, this is a really good example of letting nature do its thing, and nature will look after itself, and then we can come down here and enjoy it. So yeah, it's a fantastic example of what was here, but what still is here now. So
it is just extraordinary. So we'll just let everyone enjoy the sound of Jarred paddling around. It really is the most magic evening to be out here. So as part of this year's Nature Festival, getting out and enjoying nature within the current restrictions, we've hopefully on the right track for that we'll be able to welcome more people back to Nelson, because this is just amazing to be able to experience. So Jarred, as we head back, we're heading back to Nelson. That's the town that's on the bottom end of the Glenelg River.
that's correct, yes.
It's right on the South Australian Victorian border, isn't it?
It is, yeah. For those that don't know the area, it is literally right the southwest of Victoria. It's about 30 odd kilometres from Mount Gambier, which is in South Australia, and probably about 5 hours from Melbourne. Portland is about an hour to the east. Warrnambool's about 2 hours to the east. But yeah, very much the bottom left-hand side of Victoria. If anyone's interested to head this way too, yeah, like I mentioned, jump on Park Victoria website. They've got some really good details about the area down here. There's also a locally run tourist information centre in Nelson, and some fantastic different accommodation options too. Like I mentioned, you can camp at the national park, several different boat canoe hire places, some great accommodation in Nelson, ranging from camping to caravan parks to cabins to a fantastic old heritage pub. Yeah, look, it's really a great place to come down to for a lot of reasons. So yeah, hopefully when things get back to normal and people can travel, you do yourself a favour and come down this way. It's, you won't be disappointed.
So Jarred, this is nearly the end. This is nearly the end of our little paddling time. We would thank everyone for joining us for our evening on the estuary. I would personally like to thank Jarred, who has been, the noises you've been listening to are Jarred paddling away in the back there. I have an oar, I haven't used it. It has taken me 2 hands to film tonight. It's been a magic evening down here. I would just remind everyone to not click on any of the spammy links that are popping up in the comment section. There's a direct link to the Victoria Nature Festival in our event page through the Together Victoria website. We have thoroughly enjoyed this evening a lot. We've been out in the canoe. We would welcome everyone who can, under the restrictions, to come and enjoy nature down here. We've just got a couple of quick questions being down here. Yes, for anyone wanting to understand the volunteer groups and things involved with this area, can go to Glenelg Hopkins CMA website. So that's ghcma.vic.gov.au. We can also try and answer any other questions if you send them through to the event live stream page. We'll try and get back to you on that. This video will be available on our Facebook page, through our YouTube channel, and as Jarred pointed straight into the sun, he's avoided doing all night. You can watch the video again and be able to share and link it. So it's been lovely to have you all join us tonight on the estuary. It really is. We hoped when we looked at the weather forecast that we were going to get weather like this, and we really have been spoiled, and it really is the best to be able to show you at this time of day. So there is actually a rule that we have to be off the waterway by dark, and for those who are watching can see the sun going down behind us. So I will actually use the paddle that I have been given, and now that Jarred has paddled me around all for the last half an hour, I probably should start paddling him back. So thank you for joining us for a bit of a look about where the river meets the sea, which is just happening over behind Jarred's head there, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks everyone.